Grief can be a really complicated experience for all of us. We will all go through losses, they are inevitable. Learning how to grieve is a really important skill set that sometimes we're not really prepared for. Now, historically, there was these stages of grief that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross suggested. What research found later is that this is not really an accurate depiction because not everyone goes through those same stages and it's not linear. And so I'm not going to talk about that because the research does not support that. If that has been your experience, that's absolutely fine, but it's better to open broadly. And so I would not recommend that you try to fit yourself into that. You need to notice where you are and understand that this is not a linear process. A friend of mine once told me that grief is like having a soccer ball in the room. Sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's far away, and that's what happens. So, what do you do to grieve? So, some things that I've noticed for people that really struggle with grief is they get mad instead of sad. And I'm not saying that anger is not part of it, but they don't actually move past the mad. So when you're grieving, you first need to acknowledge your pain and also your sadness. People who don't grieve appropriately or their grief becomes really a hindrance in their life are often focused on who did wrong externally and not on what their actual inner experience is. How do they deal with that? How do they support themselves? So when you are going through grief, first acknowledge your loss, acknowledge your sadness, accept it. So sometimes with grief, we think that if we don't accept it, I don't know, that it will go away or something like that. But you need to accept what is because it is what is. You don't have another option. It is what is. You experienced a loss. That even if you address it and are able to bridge it somehow, it will never be the same moving forward. Sometimes when I've worked with couples with infidelity, the difference between the couples that can work through it and who can't is that the couples who can't just keep bringing it up and weaponizing it. That did happen. How do we move forward now and understand that our relationship will never be the same? It wasn't actually working. That's what led to that experience. So we don't need to hold on to the beginning because that is done and gone and our relationships become much more complex. So how do we step into a new version of this relationship? Well, simultaneously grieving what we lost or what no longer is working. Now, other things that can help you is learning how to take appropriate responsibility, but not responsibility in which you're flogging yourself. It's not very helpful. And once you take those responsibilities, look at how do I support myself now? How do I cope? How do I show up? Do I need some breaks? Do I need to talk about it? Who's safe to talk to? So sometimes people will say when they have grief that people will say, well, you need to get over it. So those are not the people to probably talk to because they're unfortunately not very emotionally available. They might be very logical, but logic is not always appropriate. So if I have a friend that someone in their life passed away, logically I could say, everyone dies, but that is not kind and that is not helpful in that moment. So you need to find people who can also contain your pain and not tell you to get over it or it's been too long or whatever the case is. They just tell you, I'm so sorry and can I listen to you? And you need to do that with yourself too. Maybe you haven't grieved and it's been a long time, but the reason you haven't moved fully through your grief is you've not learned how to show up for yourself and what to focus on to move past the experience and move into what my life looks like now, not what it used to look like or how I enjoyed what it looked like before. And finally, just checking in with yourself and understanding what are you feeling and understanding that a wide range of feelings throughout time are very appropriate, very helpful actually, because the nuance of experiences are deep and we need a lot of different avenues to understand what occurred in our life.